Lionsgate boss has promised more Michael as the biopic blockbuster might be splitting into two. And also, Warner Brothers has lost a crucial legal battle over some of its key or big major franchises. And also, be taking a look at an article that details how Africa's film industry has evolved. We're taking a look at all these stories and more right here on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Utu. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions, both from the African front and the international scene. And I hope you had a very blissful weekend watching movies and having fun. Well, so we delve into the three major stories for today's episode of the Film Mandate. And in the very first story, we're going to talk about how Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic might be splitting into two. And this split has been promised by Lionsgate Group Chair Adam Fogelson that this is, will be receiving more Michael. And, this particular development doesn't seem to be a new thing, but finally we have had official confirmation from the chair of Lionsgate. So we'll be delving into that story. And in the second story, Warner Brothers has lost, the legal battle over some of its key franchises. And we are talking about The Matrix, we are talking about Wonka, we are talking about Joker, and a number of projects. And this they lost as a result of Village Roadshow going bankrupt. And for those who know Village Roadshow, they have been one of the main financiers of Warner Brothers productions over the years. So we'll be talking about this story as well. And also the director of Three Cold Dishes from Nigeria has sort of observed the African industry and then has made a keen observation in an article detailing how he thinks that the African film industry has evolved over the years. And he does make a very crucial and significant point to that purpose. So we'll be delving into all these stories right here on the Film Monday. So we'll start with our very first story. And with our very first story, recently, the film, Michael, or the trailer to Michael released not too long ago, I think just last week. And it released to quite some excitement that within the very first 6 hours when it was released online from the various sources where the trailer was released onto, we had about 30 million people watching or 30 million views. And that is quite an exciting development to have one of perhaps the most iconic pop, culture icons ever's biopic to be made. And people have been anticipating to see this story made. And with that, the Lions Group or Lionsgate Group chair Adam Ferguson at a meeting that promised that there will be more Michael. And this particular story or development isn't that new because I think, early part of this year, the rumors kept going as to the possibility of Michael being split into two due to some particular reasons. So we'll be taking a look at it right here. And in an article published in the Hollywood Reporter, it gives us the oversight or reason why that might be the case. And it says that Lionsgate movie boss promises more Michael soon amid talk of splitting Michael Jackson biopic in two. We are in a position to deliver more Michael soon after we release the first film, studio movie division head Adam Fogelson told analysts on Thursday. So that is Jafar Jackson, who is playing the titular character of his uncle Michael. So it goes on to say that Michael, the upcoming Mike Jackson biopic, looks likely to be expanded. Yeah, looks likely to be expanded um, across two features, judging by the latest comments from Lionsgate execs. While we are not yet ready to confirm plans for a second film, I can tell you that the creative team is hard at work, making sure that we are in a position to deliver more Michael soon after we release the first film. Adam Fogelson, chair of the studio's motion picture group, told analysts Thursday during a call after releasing Lionsgate's second quarter financial results. Director Anton Fuqua's biopic is set to hit theaters and IMAX on April 24, 2026, after its release was delayed several times, most recently having been dated for the fall of 2025. So there is the news as to the potential split of the Michael Jackson biopic. And I can understand perhaps the reason why it might be so, because early part of this year, there was a rumor, or not really a rumor, but it seems confirmed now, that the Michael Jackson film that was shot included a scene that, um, behind the scenes in real life, the a victim of the, I mean, Mike Jackson went through a number of controversies, and one of the victims involved in the controversy had an understanding with the Mike Jackson family that he will be kept out of every publicity or feature film movies that will be made in the future with regards to his, I mean, his the issues surrounding him. So for some reason, it looks like whilst the movie was being made, the Michael estate didn't really pay attention to that. And when the movie was just about, to be released, this thing occurred. So as a result of that, it led to the Lionsgate pulling back on the particular story on this particular film to rework it and retweak it. So currently, the the information is that it's being retweaked and or over the period of time prior to they moving, prior to they actually scheduling the first day release date, when this issue cropped up, they had to sort of rework it to find ways and means of splitting it into two. Actually, this article, when you read further, it does confirm that the Michael Jackson biopic, the director's cut, is over 3 hours long. So the studio is very confident in the fact that there's the likelihood of being able to split it. And besides, the story of Michael Jackson is quite broad, and there could be so many things that you could talk about with regards to the icon Michael Jackson himself. So it 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 looks like it is a very possibility, and there's so much to tell about the Michael Jackson biopic. Rumors has it that the first part will start with when Quincy Jones met Mike Jackson at the age of 12 years to somewhere around 1980, and then the second part may commence from there to the end of his life, or whichever plan they may have. So there is a lot to be told. It will literally be like two different genres within the musical biopic, as perhaps the second part would bring much more about its controversies and maybe tonally different from what the first one may present. But regardless, one of the things that undoubtedly most film pundits and film critics are saying is that there is the likelihood for this film to actually make substantial amount of box office returns when it is finally released in April of next year, with most predicting that, or some predicting that there is the likelihood for this film to make $1 billion. And I must admit, it is very possible, seeing that Michael Jackson is not one time, or perhaps for perhaps history. m- may be the biggest artist of all times, selling several albums and entertaining several generations. So if you look at the fact that across generations there is the possibility for all these people to go into the cinema to watch the movie itself, then $1 billion is not too far or not too big to actually be achieved by this film. That may not necessarily mean this film may be exceptionally better than other biopics that has preceded it. But because of the subject, the titular character this film is based on, the very likelihood for this film to cross a billion is so high. But I think what key to it is whether the story will be represented right concerning Michael Jackson, or it will be skewed towards how they will preserve perhaps the legacy or sanctity of Mike Jackson without reporting other aspects of his life. So those are the questions being asked at the moment. But with the trailer's success, it looks like a lot of people are anticipating to watch this film and perhaps may change the landscape when it actually becomes very successful and the sequel is also released. That is, if they go through with it and it's also become very successful as well. And I think that would go a long way to um, perhaps predict or indicate how Sam Mendes' Beatles film, four parts of Beatles film, will perform come 2028. So that is quite an interesting thing to look at. But currently, I mean, as we know the schedule for this or this particular film has been scheduled for um, April 2026. That is next year, somewhere barely 6 months away. So time will tell when more trailers. This is just a teaser trailer that was released. So when more, definitely about two more trailers will be released prior to the film itself, and I'm sure we're gonna, and that will be a form of barometer to indicate how well the film will be released come the date of its screening. So that is interesting to see. But the Michael film is, I mean, stars Michael Jackson's nephew, Jafar Jackson, in the lead role, with Antoine Fuqua at the helm directing, with Cole Domingo playing Joe Jackson and Nia Long playing Catherine Jackson. And I think Miles Teller is also playing the role of Michael Jackson's longtime lawyer friend. So this actually is quite exciting to see that we are going to get not just one Michael Jackson film, but actually more Michael Jackson stories on the big screen in a narrative feature. So that is quite exciting to see. So let me know what you think about the Michael Jackson biopic film being split into two. Do you think it's the right decision for the studio to make, or you think they should have just kept it one? Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section below. So moving on from the Michael story to an interesting development by about a major studio in Hollywood is how Warner Brothers has lost a legal battle with regards to some of their most valuable properties that they had. And I mean, it is quite an untimely development, seeing that the studio is prepping itself for sale. And the question may be that would it cause the value of the company to decline in the face of it being sold to another institution? So this is quite an interesting development. And this can be found on an article called the Comics Beat. So let's take a brief read as to what this article had to say. So on the Comics Beat website, I hope I got the name right. Yeah. So on the Comics Beat website, this is what the article says, that Village Roadshow, a long-time production shingle responsible for bankrolling movies like The Matrix and Joker, went bankrupt earlier this year. And now their longtime partners at Warner Brothers won't be able to make sequels to a number of their biggest franchises without jumping through some significant hoops. During a May bankruptcy auction, Warner Brothers executives bid on derivative rights, which dictate the terms under which a studio can make some sequels and remakes, but ultimately lost out to Alcon Entertainment, who snagged the rights for $18.5 million. Warner has since tried to offer a higher revised bid, but on Wednesday, a Delaware bankruptcy court decided it was too late, too little, too late. The Hollywood Reporter derivative rights to Village Roadshow's film library will go to Alcon, largely because Warner Brothers waited more months to make its follow-up offer. Such a course of conduct not only leaves the a debtor, sorry, such yeah, leaves a debtor and its consultation parties with inadequate opportunity to assess a late bid, but it also appears engineered to run down the clock by effectively preventing a debtor from counter offering or going back to its designated successful bidder to see if there is yet a better deal to be had, wrote U.S. bankruptcy judge Thomas Horan in his decision. The rights include sequel rights to The Matrix, Joker, Ocean's 11, and Wonka. Obviously, The Matrix and Joker are seemingly at a pause point just now, but there has have been persistent rumors about Wonka and Ocean sequels for the last couple of years. Now, Warner's would be forced into a marriage of convenience with Alcon if they wanted to make those films happen. So, yeah, this is quite an interesting situation that Warner Brothers finds itself in at the moment. And currently, due to the major, you know, 10 of events happening in the company now, I'm sure that is not what David Zaslav intended for the company, but they have to navigate this crucial moment just to get things, in order. And I think for those who may know, the prior management from AT&T did a particular arrangement where they release most of their films date and day releases where it was released in the cinemas and on their streaming platform at the same time. And when you read the article further, the you know the executives of the Village Roadshow did state that as a result of Warner Brothers embarking on some of this initiative, it caused them to lose money, particularly on the Matrix Resurrection installment in the franchise of the Matrix. And not just that, but because they've gone from bankruptcy with Warner Brothers' delayed tactic in order to hope that he will be able to get the derivative licensing on their properties. It led to Village Roadshow selling or insisting that Alcon Entertainment buy their rights, and they have certainly bought that right. But the legal battle is quite an interesting thing that I'm not an expert to be able to explain. But the major challenge with this particular legal issue has to do with the fact that Village Roadshow, even in bankruptcy, because they lost their case to Warner Brothers, there was an arbitration amount to be settled where Village Roadshow have to pay an amount of $125 million to Warner Brothers. And this particular tussle is quite an interesting development. And with the derivative rights, just as the article indicated, it means that when Warner Brothers does a particular production again involving this property, regardless of Village Roadshow being involved directly or not, they would be entitled to some form of back end deals and a whole lot. And I'm sure Warner Brothers didn't want that to happen. They were hoping that this would go down so that they could buy those derivative rights. Unfortunately for them, it looks like Alcon Entertainment got into the bidding of, I mean, the auction, and as a result of that drove the price up from a previous amount to about $18.5 million, of which they have acquired that. And the tactics of Warner Brothers waiting with the hope that that would aid them in they acquiring the license or the rights at quite a reasonable amount of fees didn't pan out to go well, as the Delaware court actually rejected their bid to sort of you know get opportunity to get that those rights. So it's quite interesting. Some of the one of the reason or one of the key indicators now would be whether that would drive the value of Warner Brothers Discovery as they intend to sell to either Netflix or Paramount, and that is something that we are yet to see. But they are not out. I mean, out of the race yet in terms of. I mean, they could still do this production, but this time around, they would have to be forced into a partnership with Alcon Entertainment, who they already work with. But in terms of this particular projects that they have, they would have to be forced into it. But I think it doesn't mean that they have lost the property entirely. They may still hold the ownership rights. But when it comes to the production rights where they have to work on together, they don't have a choice than to work with those who bankrolled those productions. And that is what they are faced with now. So over the coming days, I think it will be interesting to see how things pan out, whether this particular development, one way or the other, can affect the sale of Warner Brothers in terms of its value, as it looks like, regardless, those pursuing to buy, those intending to take over Warner Brothers, be it Skydance, Paramount, or Netflix, don't seem to be, you know, slowing down in their intention of getting Warner Brothers to be under their production banner or under their company. So it will be quite interesting to see. And I'll be looking forward to how things pan out over the course of months. And as a matter of fact, Warner Brothers Discovery has indicated that they want to sell Warner Brothers or the David Zaslav has indicated that Warner Brothers would be sold perhaps before Christmas. So I mean those are the rumors being. Would we even say rumor? Those are the information being the information circulating around now is that David Zaslav is looking at potentially closing this bid before Christmas or before the end of the year, and looks very likely that that may happen. So, with that and with this particular outcome right now, what will be the consequence? Is it going to influence? Is it going to cause them to have to wait to resolve this issue, or they can still go ahead and get this done and leave this challenge to the new management to take over? So, those are things we would have to find out perhaps during the course of days or weeks to come. So let me know what you think with regards to this particular story development. Do you think if Warner Brothers control over franchises like The Matrix is weakened, what would you like to see happen with these properties? Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section below. And then moving on to story from Africa. Africa has been one of the continents with lots of stories to tell, but unfortunately, the film industry perhaps has not caught up enough with our vast stories that we have that we would like to tell. But over the years, several film industries from several countries on the continent has done the best they can to evolve with the times. And one of the fastest growing industry, and also actually is the biggest, but also fastest in terms of putting in place the necessary structures, is that of Nollywood. And currently, Nollywood is taking or embarking on a lot of initiatives to help boost their film industry, and in turn or in the long term would affect positively the African film industry. And as a result of that, there is an article published in the Business Insider, which I think is very instrumental to the discussion we'll be having briefly. And this is what the article says. So it says that the AFCM is proof Africa's film ecosystem is maturing. And there you have those who are partners on these. And it's written by the director of the film Three Cold Dishes, called Oluseyi Asef Amua. Oluseyi Asef Amua. It says that every filmmaker has that one moment when you realize you've gone beyond creating art to navigating an industry. For me, that realization came early in my career when I saw how many incredible African stories never made it beyond the editing room because there was no real structure to support them. For years, Nollywood has operated on sheer willpower and creativity without infrastructure, ambition without financing, talent without access. That reality is changing. In the last decade, we've seen Nigeria film ecosystem evolve faster than almost any other on the continent. Theaters have expanded, distribution has gone digital, and funding conversations are now part of the process, of the creative process. A decade ago, we couldn't imagine pitching films in structured co-production sessions or negotiating rights in Lagos. Today, that's happening, and not by chance, but because the industry has matured enough to attract real investment and international partnerships. Let me just add this last paragraph, which highlights what we'll be talking about. So it says that this evolution is being powered by a few key players who understand that creativity must meet commerce. One of those is Film House Group. Through its subsidiaries, Film One Entertainment, Film One Studios, and Film Cinemas, whose infrastructure has been critical in connecting filmmakers to audiences and viable investments. Their move as a co-owner of Cover, a global streaming platform for African content, is another leap forward, ensuring that our stories don't just stop at the cinema, but find life across continents. And I think that is such a key factor when it comes to every film industry. Without the proper infrastructure put in place, we likely find ourselves in a position where our films would only be, sometimes may not cross or move out of the editing room, and it will be stuck. And these are challenges that he stressed on, financing, access, and a whole lot. And that has been a major challenge. But I like the fact that the Nigerian film industry is taking initiatives, I mean, by private individuals rather than government. Government support has also been there. But if you see how they are pushing, not just Film House Group, but a number of institutions are pushing to put the necessary structure in place to be able to accommodate and help push the film industry to a level that previously was not existent. And it is indeed exciting that an actual filmmaker in the fray of the very core or front and center of the film industry has seen the evolution of their film industry. And indeed, I'm excited about it because once they are setting the pace within sub-Saharan Africa or West Africa, it becomes a light or a path carved for other film industries across the sub-region to pay attention and see how they can incorporate that into theirs as well. So it gives me much hope that we are not too far away from a point where perhaps for some of the film industries, the structures that we so admire from other film industries like Bollywood, Hollywood, and the British film industry and other stuff, we would actually see them work here, perhaps not in the same exact form that we see them operate by, but in an adapted way that suits our needs on the continent. And that is quite amazing to see. To see even just one company, film house group have the entertainment side where the films are produced to being a distributor, having cinemas, and also having a streaming platform, it is indeed amazing because then it means that more and more entities are looking at having a vertically incorporated company where they focus on the entire chain supply system to make it work. Because if there are no individual parties who are doing that, the best way is to be in the fray of the entire business, to see that whatever films you produce yourself or you help produce, you will see it to a logical end where it ends up on the screens for audiences to watch. And I think that is a brilliant strategy that they are embarking on. So to see the Three Cold Dishes director, you know, experience firsthand the transformative process that he's seen. I mean, he's been working, I mean, since this time. So he's had experience of an era where none of these things existed, or perhaps just a couple or two, to an era where all these structures are now tangible and in play. It may not be as effective as we would hope for, but it's a step in the right direction. Because I mean, you could have all these structures in place, but economic reasons or socioeconomic reasons of the country where the industry is based in could also affect sales. But all in all, it looks like the structures that they have put in place indeed is the right way to go. And I must say that it points to how Africa's film industry is evolving, starting with the Nollywood industry. When we talk about South Africa, a lot of these things are already uh, properly structured and put in place. So their industry perhaps may be uh, way ahead than that of the entire African continent. But when you look at the numerical power of the Nollywood or Nigeria as a whole, it does go a long way to help the industry, as they are the leading export of African films on the continent. And not just that, but across the world, they are the second film industry that produces the most after Bollywood. So they, with all these structures they are putting in place, it won't be long before they take complete, I mean, lead in terms of the proper infrastructure, beating, perhaps will beat South Africa to nothing. But all in all, it's not really about the competition. It's about the fact that with this setup they are bringing along, it's going to effectively or positively spread across Africa, and in the long term, go to support what we want to achieve here on the continent. And one of the exciting things is that the Afrif film, I mean, the film festival organization is actually part of this particular initiative that is being taking place. That's the AFCM description is it gave. It's an acronym. Let me see if I can bring it up. Um, why am I missing this? Pardon me. So and yeah, I'm missing the name of it, but yeah. So the Filmhouse Group have both Film One Entertainment, Film One Studios, and Film One Cinemas, and also are co-owners of a global streaming platform called Cover. So that is an amazing thing to see. I just wanted to get the full meaning of the acronym AFCM, and I think it starts with AFRIF. Yeah, AFRIF. Yeah, so it starts what in the so it is a platform called the Afrif Film and Content Market. So Afrif Film and Content Market, which indeed is one of the structures, infrastructure put in place to help African filmmakers, not just Nigerian filmmakers, but African filmmakers to have a place where they can negotiate for their films to receive some form of distribution and a whole lot. So indeed, this is a positive thing being done on the continent, and kudos to the Nigerian brothers or I mean ASEF for also bringing this up. It's good to know that these things are happening on the continent and helping transform the African film industry. So let me know what you think. What kind of stories from the evolving African film industry are you most excited to see reach international audiences? Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section below. And all too soon, we've come to an end to the major stories for today's episode of the Film Mandate. However, today being a Monday, I'm certain you went to the cinemas to watch a film or two. So as a result of that, let's take a look at the films that performed, the top 10 films that performed well this weekend, first starting with the North American box office on the Box Office Mojo website. So just this past weekend, the top 10 films that did well are starting with one. We have Predator Badlands opening with $40 million. At number two and staying there since last week, we have Regretting You making $7,125,000 and a total domestic gross of $38,596,498. Also, at number three, and dropping from number one, is Black Phone 2, making 5,300,000. And the total is 70,108 and $550. Number four, and opening for the very first time, we have Sarah's Oil, making 4,458,000. And number five, opening for the very first time, we have Nuremberg, making 4,147,411. And number six, dropping from number three, we have Chainsaw Man, the movie Riz Arc or Riz Arc, pardon me, and it made 3.6 million, and the total is 38,031,234 dollars. Number seven, dropping from number five, we have Bugonia, which made 3.5 million, and the total is $12,310,470. Number eight, we have Die My Love, which opened for the very first time, making $2,830,924. And number nine, dropping from number seven, is Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere, making 2.2 million, and the total is $20,396,290. And number 10, dropping from number eight, is Tron Ares, making 1.8 million, and the total domestic is 71,260,000. Pardon me, $260,727. So there's the top 10. There are still more, which I'll leave the link in the comment section, in the description section, so that you can take a look at the total. So now let's go on to take a look at the top 10 of the international box office results. So the 2025 worldwide box office, the top 10, we have Neza 2 still at number one, $1.9 billion. Lilo and Stitch has over $1 billion. Minecraft the movie is at number three with 957,949,195 dollars. Number four, we have Jurassic World Rebirth with $868,613,830. And number five, you have How to Train Your Dragon with $636,148,922. Number six, we have F1 the movie, which has made $631,127,111. Number seven, we have Superman with $616,584,465. And at number eight, we have Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which has made $598,767,057. And number nine, we have Demon Slayer: Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie Infinity Castle, which has made $591,384,245. And the last is The Fantastic Four: First Steps, $521,858,728. So this wraps up the top 10 of all, the global box office. So all too soon, I've come to an end of today's episode of the Film Mandate, and thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate your audienceship. And I'll be coming your way again with another exciting episode of the Film Monday tomorrow. My name is Papa Otu, and I'll see you soon.